Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Two Players Podcast, episode 68. We're going to talk about the news, then the whole Telltale game situation, games we've been playing recently, and then a big spoiler talk on Spider-Man PS4. So I was wondering, we are going to talk about Life is Strange 2, but that's going to be on the next episode. So let's get into the news. The Captain Marvel trailer dropped. From my impressions of it, I mean, it looked cool. It didn't necessarily get me hyped for it because it's so far away. But you know, it still looks promising. This trailer got like 12 million views within like the first 24, 48 hours or something like that. So people are definitely excited for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know anything about Captain Marvel, but if there's one thing the MCU really does well is like showing a bunch of characters you never knew or really cared about and just make them interesting. So I'm very interested to learn more about Captain Marvel because there seems to be some weird stuff going on, like she has memories, like she might be like a human or something like that. That's what I could gather from the trailer. Like keep doing flashbacks of like different points of her life or something. It's some weird stuff. Plus like space. Like I don't it's a weird trailer and I don't really know what to expect because again, I don't know anything about Captain Marvel, but it does get me intrigued, you know, because I'm always excited to see like a hero I don't know anything about, and Captain Marvel is one of those heroes.
Yeah, it's definitely taking place in the past 100% by the whole blockbuster thing in the beginning. So,
oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely very, you know, as a huge Marvel and MCU fan, interested to go see how this goes. But I'm not really hyped for it because it's so far away right now.
Yeah, it's 2019, so yeah, it's a long ways off. With that said, the PlayStation Classic was announced. This was something that I didn't really expect. So Sony's really taking a page out of Nintendo's book, like how they did with the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, and just making their own with the PlayStation. It's going to have 20 preloaded games, and it's going to be $100. Yeah, it's going to be $100, right?
Yep, $99.99.
Yep.
And I believe it's going to drop sometime this year, at the end of this year, or something like that.
Yeah, so obviously
December 3rd.
They're taking the route of this like nostalgia thing. It's like, hey, we got some games you like on the PlayStation, and they're basically doing what Nintendo did. And I think that's cool. Like I like these classic consoles because I like the designs. You know, the like miniature like consoles of what they were. And even though it doesn't have like a bunch of games in them, you know, it's a bunch of fan favorite games. Like the ones they listed here was Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, which I don't know. You got Ridge Racer, you got Tekken 3 and Wild Arms. So those are pretty good. Some games other people are suspecting are maybe like a Crash. Maybe not all the Crashes, but probably a Crash, a Spyro, probably like Cynthia of the Night, and probably some other PlayStation games that I can't remember. But I think it's a smart move. You know, it makes sense. There's a lot of nostalgia. A lot of people grew up with the PlayStation instead of the N64 and things like that. So it just seems like easy money for Sony.
At the bottom of the page, it actually says AC adapter sold separately. So that's a little weird.
That is kind of weird.
I'm not exactly sure if people actually caught that on, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, they are definitely taking a page out of Nintendo's book. Personally, PlayStation, after the PS3, they've always been like really bad with backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
So I guess this is kind of like their way of like, hey, we got this thing you can buy with 20 preloaded games, which is cool and all, but we only know so many of the games right now. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to buy it entirely because, you know, some of like what other games could they put on there that would like really blow you away? Because there's so many PlayStation classic games, you know.
See, I can only think of like sequels to games, right? It's like the other Crashes, the other Spyros, the other Final Fantasies. Like I'm not too sure what else. Because I grew up mostly with a PS2 and stuff like that, so I don't really know.
But yeah, it's gonna retail for $100, so they definitely have to like put some like really good like, you know, nostalgia games if they want to make this bad boy sell like a lot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm definitely interested to go and see on how this pans out because, you know, I think these kinds of like retro sort of like, you know, holiday sort of cash-in consoles are fine as long as we don't get them too often and they don't, I guess, replace like the PlayStation store with like their like PS1 classics and, you know, the PS2 games and all that stuff that they have on there. So
Yeah, I
I'm
agree. Like,
I'm
I
fine
don't,
with it.
I don't want them to like just make these instead of like just putting them on, the PSN store,
Hmm.
because that just, you're paying like maybe you only want like Final Fantasy 7, but now you got to pay like 100. I know it's already on the PSN store, but it's just like an example. Like if you
Hmm.
want a certain game, but it's not on the PSN store, but it's only on this, you're gonna pay like $100 basically just to play that one game you want to play. So that
Yeah.
seems kind of dumb, and I hope like they just keep it into like one thing. Like they don't release like other versions of this. Like, oh, this has 20 other games, so like that would be dumb. But
Yeah.
as of right now, it's a cool like collectible thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure Microsoft is never going to do anything like this, just because
I don't think
I
they
think,
can.
well, for one thing, when it comes to Xbox, they're really good with backwards compatibility. Like, there's a
That's it.
lot of 360 and original Xbox games that are already backwards compatible with the Xbox One or something like that. So it's, they're definitely on point with that. But when it comes to PlayStation and Nintendo, especially Nintendo. I mean, it's a little hard to do it with the Switch now, because it's a whole different like format, so it's
Yeah.
understandable and whatnot. But yeah, so moving on. More PlayStation news. The PS Vita production ends in 2019. It's actually really sad that the Vita didn't do as well as it probably was expected to, especially with how powerful this like handheld console was. Compared to like the 3DS, but power doesn't always mean success. I mean, just look at Xbox One compared to PS4. PS4 is clearly winning because of the amount of exclusives they have, while Xbox doesn't really have all that much. But yeah, Vita was 100% more powerful than the 3DS and probably even the new 3DS. But they didn't have any like really good games, and the games that they did have, like Gravity Rush, and even like the Uncharted spin-off game, like that wasn't really worth to buy a Vita, and Gravity Rush was eventually ported to the PS4 and all this other stuff. So yeah, the Vita definitely did not do all that well.
Yeah, like you said, it's mostly just like it lacked a lot of games and support. Like I think they tried like making like Naughty Dog, or I don't think Naughty Dog made it, but someone made the Uncharted game on Vita, and I don't think it sold too well. So they're just like, all right. And then a bunch of other companies try to make some Vita games, but it's just like it just wasn't really selling because people didn't really care. Because I think the 3DS was very like established and already had a bunch of good games on it. So it was like, what's the point of buying the Vita? The only thing I know people bought Vita for was like Persona 4 and some other games, and like that was it, because there wasn't like anything on it. So it was like it was destined to basically die because Sony just didn't care. Like once it didn't do well in the first like 2 years, it was just like, all right, it's kind of dead. Even though it was popular in Japan for a while, like I heard it was still really popular until like the Switch came out. And I feel like Nintendo sort of killed it again with the Switch, and now like the Vita's like pointless. So yeah, I mean it sucks, and I think they said Sony just they don't want to do any more portable consoles. Like I think they just accepted they lost that race already, and that's sad because I really enjoyed my PSP when the PSP came out. Like
Same.
There was some really good games on the PSP, but I feel like the Vita just let a lot of people down. So it's kind of sad they won't ever go back to the handheld market again, but I could see why. Like Nintendo kind of just kills it with that. So
yeah, and also with the rise of like mobile gaming nowadays,
that too.
it's really hard to like make a really good handheld console, because like with Nintendo, it kind of just targets like really young kids, which is great. But with the Vita, it's like you're targeting a much older audience, and when it comes to the older audience, would they much rather pay a $300-400 handheld console, or would they much rather just pay like $5 to go and buy a game on their phone, or not even pay $5 and just get a free game or whatever on their phone, right?
Yeah.
So
the handheld market is in a weird place.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, the Vita is definitely. I believe they try to like push it really hard back at the end of like the PS3 era, when like if you bought this PS3 game, it also had a Vita version with it.
That was cool.
Yeah, I was like, that's a really cool idea. I still didn't buy a Vita because it was really expensive, and then on top of that, the memory cards for those damn things were also really expensive as well.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
And also, since they did like their own like format or whatever, like you actually couldn't buy like a micro SD card or anything like that. So you were actually just screwed, and you had to spend like $100+ on like a really big memory card. But yeah, Sony kind of just killed it on their own. They really didn't support it after a while, like you said. So It really sucks.
Yeah, like I think the Vita had potential, but it kind of just died under Nintendo. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, but Sony's doing all these things, but here's Microsoft doing something. You're able to use keyboard and mouse support for Xbox One.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
I think that's really cool, but it's also weird, right? Because it's like I don't know how they're gonna, because we're certain games like FPS, right? Like when keyboard and mouse players just win.
Yep.
That's why I'm not too sure about this unless they separate them, but like that'll cause a divide in the player base. So I am not too sure about this.
Mm-hmm. That's the discussion I kind of wanted to go and have with this news topic. Like Fortnite players, like that's definitely the biggest game still out there. And keyboard and mouse 100% is a deal breaker. It was even like shown off during like the one of the Fortnite tournaments. One of the PS4 players, he used like some sort of like attachment so he could use the keyboard and mouse for the PS4 because you can't just plug it in or whatever and just use it. So he did that during a tournament, and Epic said that was fine. Like that is now, first up, Epic should have definitely said that that's cheating.
Yes.
But second off, like obviously that situation as a whole using keyboard and mouse is just unfair to console players because they can't react as quickly with just two sticks while they have a mouse and keyboard and they could just do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. Like if you're gonna play with other console players, I know it's crossplay Fortnite, but in like a tournament setting, if everyone's playing on a PS4, you should be using a controller because when you use a mouse and keyboard, you're just gonna obviously just have an advantage because you could just aim better, and even then, I think you could just build faster too, just like how it works. Yeah. So yeah, I am not. I don't know if I'm okay with this. Like if you want to play with mouse and keyboard, just play on PC. Like. Doing it on console just feels a little unfair just because the way controller aim works. It just seems like they get unfair advantage.
Yeah. So
yeah, I get that having more options is always a good thing, but I feel like this isn't the right way to go with this.
Mouse and keyboard on a console is definitely a interesting place right now, I would say, because like I'm pretty sure everyone would like to have it, so the PC players could be a little bit more comfortable when playing on console, I guess. But even then, like how is that going to work? Because if this is going to work like natively, like if you could just like once they like patch it and you could like, hey, mouse and keyboards now work on Xbox, all you have to do is just plug it in, like, and then there's like no way to like detect whether or not you're using a mouse and keyboard on such platforms, on such games and whatnot. Like that's gonna be really weird, right?
Yeah, like if they're gonna do this, I feel like I don't know. There's no easy way to really like fix this. Like it's either like once you do this, I feel like there's gonna be so many people angry. Like, oh, this player is just better at aiming or whatever. But
first they're testing out with Warframe as their first title.
See, with Warframe, I was gonna bring this up. Like I was gonna say maybe with single player or co-op games, it could be fine because with Warframe, there's not really PvP, so it doesn't really matter. But if it's something like Fortnite, where you sort of have to play with other players, it's just gonna feel like unfair advantage. Well, Warframe is a co-op game, so I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But I don't know. I think that's a good first step, though.
I think they're going to like slowly, like try to like trickle this in, not just instantly like, hey, you could just play with mouse and keyboard, because that would obviously like be a really bad idea. So them testing it out with Warframe first is obviously a nice, like, I guess dipping your toe in the water or whatever, So. We'll just see on how this pans out exactly. So, but it's definitely very interesting.
Yes, I think it's interesting that I even like considering the idea to use mouse and keyboard, but how they actually do it is beyond me. I have no idea how they're gonna make it work, but we'll see. I guess like it could just be a dumpster fire, or they could actually make it work. So just gotta wait and see.
All right. So, moving on, we're going to talk about the Telltale game situation that's been going on. So, I'm pretty much just going to break down everything, and then we're going to give our thoughts on each little thing I have here. Yep. So, first up, there was a news article on US Gamer that they were going to shut down. Personally, I didn't see this for a while because I was like, I believe I was playing Spider-Man PS4 on this day. So, like, I wasn't even, like, on Twitter or whatever. And then I saw this, like, trending, like, Telltale games were trending. I was like, what the hell's going on? And it turns out that they were closing or shutting down. Now, obviously, these were rumors at first. And then they did a immediate thing, like a screenshot with like text on it on Twitter. So they made a difficult decision. They closed down or like they fired or let go of like a lot of their employees. I believe it was approximately 275 or something like that. So now they have a small group of 25 people fulfilling company obligations. And a lot of people thought at first that was for the final season of The Walking Dead. Nope, that was for Minecraft story mode for Netflix.
Oh yeah.
So that got people from being, sad / upset to being really pissed off. And then on top of that, they canceled The Wolf Among Us Season 2 and then the Stranger Things project. And then after episode 2 of the final season of The Walking Dead, they will not continue the game. But right now, they actually plan on finding a studio or, talking with partners, as they called it, to finish episodes 3 and 4. And obviously, I'll give my thoughts on that later. And then after that, there was a news article that came out that they are now being sued by a former employee and on his behalf for his fellow laid off workers for them violating San Francisco, California, working laws, letting go of employees without cause and without giving them a advance notice beforehand. So there's obviously a lot of baggage here. There's a lot of stuff to break down. So, Damian, what was your first initial thoughts before all of the other stuff came out about hey, Telltale Games is shutting down?
Yeah, so I saw the rumor on Reddit because I was on Reddit. I'm looking at the Art Games subreddit. And at first I'm like, wait, really? I really didn't expect it at first because they seem to be doing really well. Yeah. I don't know, a lot of conventions, they were really hyping up the last season of Walking Dead and everything. And they were, they gave the trailer for Wolf Among Us Season 2. They were talking about the Stranger Things project. So I was just like, there's no way they could just close down like that. It was shocking to me. I'm like, there's no way that could happen. But then as more information came out, I'm just like, oh my God, they're actually shutting down? That's crazy. And I guess it makes sense because I was reading a little bit more, and apparently a lot of the games just didn't do that well financially, even the good ones. So things like The Wolf Among Us Season 1 didn't do that well. Tales from the Borderlands did really badly in terms of sales, even though I think those two are some of the best games they've made. Things like the Game of Thrones, it's such an expensive IP that they just didn't make the money back either when they bought the IP to make the game, because the game ended up being not that great after after the first season or whatever. People were just I kind of don't want to touch this because it's not that good. Same thing with Minecraft and all the other IPs they bought. Oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy one was a big hit too.
Oh yes, me and Louis were actually talking about this. So when it became official, we were like, all right, how the hell did they mess up? So we went on their Wikipedia page and we started from the first season of The Walking Dead and then worked our way down to go and see which games came out before then. So you already mentioned most of them, Guardians, Game of Thrones. But I think what really killed them, to be honest, was the whole Minecraft story mode thing.
Yeah.
I feel that was really unnecessary and not really their targeted demographic when it comes to their games, especially because when you go from The Walking Dead to Minecraft, that's a huge demographic gap, because those people that are playing The Walking Dead, 99% are not playing Minecraft story mode. So
that's what I mean. It's I don't get what they were trying to do with Minecraft story mode, because it's the people who like Telltale games probably aren't going to the kiddie story about Minecraft, and people who like Minecraft are probably not going to like the whole gameplay of a Telltale game that's more story based. So it just seemed like a really weird, I don't know who they were trying to aim for, but they
also on top of that, they did 2 seasons of that.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
The first season, I believe, contained 8 episodes or something like that, which is the biggest out of any Telltale series for any season. 8 episodes, that's a lot. So I was like, that is really weird. And then obviously games that failed to sell well, Guardians of the Galaxy is 100% one of them. Because when that game dropped, no one talked about it. No one played it. You know why? Because the game actually looked pretty bad, and I heard it was actually pretty mediocre. So, and there was no real interest for a, sort of Guardians of the Galaxy sort of Telltale game. I mean, like, at first when it was announced, I was like, this is gonna be really cool. And then like they started dropping trailers, and I was like, this doesn't look all that great.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I didn't even know it released, like when it came out, I'm like, oh, that came out, and then all the reviews on Steam were mixed. I'm like, I guess I'm not missing out on anything.
Yeah.
So, and that seemed to be a trend with Telltale. Like even like their main series, The Walking Dead, was like, you know, with season 3, it's like no one really cared too much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but that's
like,
because they actually went like a completely different route, which
That's
they
what I mean,
probably
yeah.
shouldn't have done. They probably should have
Yeah.
played it safe, but I guess they wanted to go and try something different. Personally, I still like this season. Not loved it, but still liked it. But also another thing that really hurts them is the nature of their games. You know, like you could just go on YouTube and just watch someone else play
Yes,
it,
yeah.
and you don't have to. And that really sucks because as a person who actually, you know, still buys Telltale games and, you know, doesn't really watch them, like when Batman The Enemy Within was on sale, I bought that because I'm like, I want to play the second season. I don't want to watch someone play the second season. I want to play it. So, but, you know, I guess some people are different, and I think a lot of people, you know, would much rather watch their favorite content creator play that game than play the game themselves, I guess. And that just really sucks for them because that could have been another sale for a game, but just because of how their games are, and I think them failing to adapt to like how graphic adventure games and how, you know, decision making based games are nowadays. Because like when you look at Detroit Become Human, that game 100% every single decision actually matters. And Telltale games, I would say like it's kind of like a flip-flop when it comes to like your decisions, because obviously Telltale wants to tell a story, so they have to get from point A to point B, but everything in between is up to you, you know.
Yeah.
So like the ending of the first episode of the final season of The Walking Dead, no matter what you did, that was going to happen, I believe. So that really sucks.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people got pissed off about. Like, you know, I could say a lot of things about David Cage and his games, because I don't think they're that great. But he does do a good job, at least with Detroit, making every decision really spread differently. Like, watching one playthrough, like, you know, like Connor could just die and he's just gone for the rest of the game. Or he could just still be there. So it's just like, I don't know, there's just some really cool things in that game with decision making. But Telltale games, a lot of people are getting tired of just like, oh, you pick this one thing. Like, let's say someone's about to die, right? Like, you save them in that one scene, but they're going to die in the next scene anyway, because that's just how the story is supposed to go. So it's like, it doesn't really matter in the end. I think people are just starting to get pissed off about that. Plus, the engine was still, like, not that great. Like, the games looked very not that good after a certain point.
And they made improvements to the engine, but they never, like, did a whole new engine.
Yeah. So, like, I think all these things, like, there was just a lot of mismanagement and just, like, things, they just weren't getting through their heads, and I think that's just sad. I think it's mostly just the higher ups just didn't want to like change what they were doing, you know.
Really bad management, and the fact that they fired or like let go of these plus 200 people without severance pay, like that really sucks.
Yes, 100%. That also is just like horrible.
So like obviously social media went from, oh my god, Telltale went down, and then once more news came out, once more details about this came out, they turned it around, then they just became angry at them. And here's my next point. When they were like, hey, we're trying to find a partner / studio to complete episodes 3 and 4. At first, I actually tweeted out, I was like, oh, okay. I actually hope that this pans out well. And then like a couple hours later, I actually deleted that tweet because I was like, wait, this actually like is really stupid, because they actually should have just finished the game with their own studio, you know. Yes. And then on top of that, you know, like, what the hell? You know,
it's crazy to me that they canceled that final season of Walking Dead, probably the game that made them, and they cancel it midway through. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I just did not expect that. I really thought they were gonna at least try to finish the final season, but it didn't. Like, it's over. Like, I think it got delisted from Steam and everything, I think.
Oh yeah. It also got delisted from Steam and everything like that, which now if you even want to play it, it's just literally impossible. So
yeah. And I think even if it does come back, it's probably not going to be in like a playable form. It's probably going to be like some graphic novel or something. Like, it's probably, that's what I think. I don't think it's going to be in a video game format.
Look, but, man, I just want an end to Clementine's story at this point.
Yeah, I feel you, because I'm like, that's that just seems like the biggest slap in the face. And I don't even know if did it refunded people for that? Because I feel like
No. I mean, like, I didn't expect a refund, but it just sucks that all of these people got let go without severance pay, and Telltale is still trying to find people to finish this game when they could have just finished it on their own.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I'm never gonna get Wolf Among Us 2. God damn it.
Yeah, that was
should have just not
really
announced
sad.
it.
Yeah, probably should have just been like, hey, we're doing the freaking Walking Dead final season. There's no Wolf Among Us. What are you talking about?
It just amazes me because they didn't really it seems like they were fine. Like what I was saying before. When they were in conventions, they were Walking Dead final season, and there you go. Like
they were heavily promoting it at PAX West or whatever. So
yeah, it seemed like they were but they should have known by that point. So why do that? It just seems seems kind of scummy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. All about this is just really sad and just
really
just
terrible
angry
as well.
And just,
yeah,
it's just a whole as soon as more of the story developed, it just seemed more and more nasty. So it's just it's crazy,
especially with the whole suing thing and mismanagement of employees and overworking them and not letting them know that they were actually going to be let go in advance. So yeah, Telltale at first it looked like that they were, in a tragic situation, but it actually looks like that they're just the bad guys, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sucks, but yeah.
It's just the reality that we know right now. Now, obviously, there's two sides to every story, but Telltale is definitely being very hush-hush about everything, so it just sucks that they had to go like this, and, the fact that they did so many projects, they did so many games that really didn't do as well, and now they're dead. So
yeah, it really sucks, but it's just how it is, I guess. They play themselves really by buying so many IPs and mismanaging everything. That was just bound to happen at some point, and now they're eating it. So.
And Netflix is actually still trying to find other options for the Stranger Things sort of project. So
yeah, they still want to get that done. And the last thing I heard was that Digital Devolver was trying to get the rights to that to do something with it. Mm-hmm. And they are an indie publisher, so they're a good publisher. So that would be cool if they got it. But it seems to me that Netflix still wants to do all their projects. Obviously, they wanted that story mode to be done because contracts, and they still want the Stranger Things game to be done. So I guess that's good. So those projects still aren't dead. But things like The Wolf Among Us 2, that is dead forever, probably. And that's sad. I hate that. But yeah, it's good that if you were looking forward to the Stranger Things Telltale game, it looks like that will still probably happen. So
just in a different form.
Yeah, just in a different form, probably. So.
Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get into some of the games we have been playing recently. So other than Spider-Man, Damian, what else have you been playing?
So after I played Spider-Man, I played Xenoblade, the expansion, and it's really good. I'm almost done with it. I'm basically up to the final boss. I just haven't done it yet, and I think it's a good improvement to what Xenoblade 2 did well. It improved the combat, because I heard a lot of complaints about the combat, saying that it got pretty samey and flowcharty at the end, where you're just doing the same things over and over each fight. And I feel like this battle system really made it more frantic and less of a flowchart on what you have to do, and I just find it way more fun. The story, I think, is a lot more. It's just better because the characters are more competent. Rex is kind of an idiot, and these this trio of characters seems to just make a stronger story. So I do like that a lot. They actually updated the engine the game was running on for this one, I guess for this expansion. Probably because it's not as big of a game, but you could tell the resolution is a lot better. The game doesn't have as many FPS dips when something when there's a bunch of things happening. So yeah, they really did a good job just improving the game in general, and I really didn't expect that. Nintendo's been really killing it with the expansions lately, the Octo expansion and this. These have been really high tier expansions, and I'm really glad they put a lot of effort into it. There's a bunch of cutscenes, like side quests. Like it's like a full game. Like I'm like 30 hours in, and that's way more time than I thought. No, sorry, time that I thought I was gonna spend in this game. Like obviously it's not as long as Xenoblade 2. You know, that game's like 100 hours, but a 30-hour like just piece of DLC that's extremely good.
Wow, Nintendo knows how to do DLC. Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like honestly, like the Octo expansion was like really good. Like I did not expect it to be as good as it was. And while I did expect this to be pretty good, it still kind of blows me away with all the improvements it made to the base game. Like I really thought I was just gonna borrow basically the same, battle systems and everything, and just make new content. But no, they really redid a lot of systems, and it was for the better. It makes a lot of the more tedious things less tedious. You know, it just makes it looks like they're paying attention to what the fans wanted. So yeah, I really enjoy it. It's really good. Besides that, I think that's about it, because you know the Spider-Man and that are long. So Spider-Man isn't that long, but you know,
takes a long time. I get you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about games and then other stuff real quick. So, Walking Dead episode 2 final season. No spoilers, but it does end on a cliffhanger.
It's not gonna be done anyway.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be done, but
yeah, you could do that
to those people that don't want to be spoiled. But it's still good. Not as good as the first episode. Some people are saying like this is like the best like Walking Dead stuff Telltale has done since the first season, which is kind of, you know, I guess. I mean, I wasn't there when the first season was like releasing. I kind of played it after, and I was like, yeah, this is good, but it wasn't like, you know, like great or amazing. And then when I played the second season, I was like, wow, this is pretty good. Like I found that season was like great and like, you know, really expanded Clementine as a character. Then the third season was all right, you know, I liked it. And now this season, unfortunately, it might not be finished, but it definitely had a lot of potential, and I'm very sad to see it end like this. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed episode 2. It didn't have as many surprises as the first episode, but it was still very enjoyable. League of Legends, obviously, they dropped the Worlds patch, which they pretty much buffed a lot of champions for like no reason. So like Thresh, now his Q is on a lower cooldown, 20 less mana as well, so it went from 80 to 60. It's a nice little buff, but I know Pyke, they like unnecessarily buffed his ult for like no reason. And then a couple of other champions, they like buffed Darius and all this other stuff, but I'm D3, so that is very good. I plan to keep up my gameplay hopefully, and I don't drop back to D5. And then I played a little bit of Fortnite. It's been a while. I've not touched season 6 yet though. I was playing before season 6 ended, but yeah, you know, Fortnite's still Fortnite. I kind of got burnt out on it. I think you did as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just because, you know, it's kind of like, and like, I mean, at this
it
point,
gets samey.
Yeah, and like at this point, the level of gameplay like people are playing at is like freaking crazy.
Yeah.
So,
I can't really casually enjoy it. So
yeah, unless you're playing like 50v50 or something like that.
Oh
so.
Yeah.
And then I've been watching some shows, so I got a rant here. So Dragon Ball Super, I've been watching it on Verve, and Verve is pretty much like Crunchyroll, but they have a bunch of different other channels. So like on top of Crunchyroll, they have Funimation, Geek and Century, the Nick Splat with a bunch of 90s Nickelodeon cartoons, Rooster Teeth, and some other stuff. So pretty much I went with Verve over Crunchyroll just because I believe you pay like $2 extra a month just to go and get all of these other channels. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go and watch Dragon Ball Super on Funimation because I get to watch it dubbed. And I was like, okay. And it only goes up to, let me see.
I think Black Goku, right? Or Goku.
Oh, wait, they just updated it. Okay. So when I was watching it, it only went up to episode 52, which is halfway through the Goku Black Saga.
Yeah.
So now it goes up to 65, which I believe is the end of the Goku Black Saga, which is because, so the reason they stopped it at episode 52 was because they're airing it on Adult Swim, right? So that conflicts with that. And then on top of that, Funimation wants to sell the Blu-rays. So they hold back on the Funimation app stuff because they want you to watch it on Toonami slash Adult Swim, and then, you know, the Blu-rays. So this is like really scummy of them to just like hold back episodes, because before they just dropped like episode 53 through 65.
Yeah.
Episode 52 came out on the Funimation app back in March, bro. So now it's like almost October. So it took a long time just for these couple of episodes to get onto the Funimation app. So
Jesus
like,
Christ.
yeah. So like, just like keeping up with the show like dubbed is really hard, and like you have to have a lot of patience. So, and like obviously I skipped all of the movie episodes. So I started on episode 28 because I was like, I'm not watching Resurrection F and Battle of the Gods again.
And they're just worse than the movie. Like the movies are good, but like the episode versions are just not as good. So
it just it's just filler. Yeah, kind of.
It surprises me that like even like My Hero does it where it's like the dub comes out very, very fast. And with Dragon Ball, it waits like forever. Like you think something as big as Dragon Ball, the dub would be like not at the same time, but at least in like a 2-week delay, like My Hero is. Like it just seems kind of weird.
Like I believe they're still doing the dub on like Toonami and stuff. So like they just don't want it to conflict with the Funimation app, which really sucks for me because I don't want to like watch it on like, you know, alleged links or whatever, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I don't want to watch it illegally because I want to support the show, but at the same time you're making it difficult for me to watch it, you know. So I'm kind of in a tough spot because I 100% could have just been like, all right, I'm going back to Crunchyroll, just gonna watch it, you know, dub or subbed, you know. I could have 100% done that, but I love the voice cast so much, and I love Dragon Ball. The moment I knew I loved Dragon Ball was when I was watching a filler episode where like Piccolo was babysitting Pan, and I was like enjoying myself. Like I was having such a good time just watching it. But yeah, you know, Dragon Ball is still Dragon Ball. But I know a lot of people really don't like Super because of how much is just like, hey, Goku saves the day. Which
I mean, like the whole
kinda
Ultra
sucks.
Instinct I think kind of came out. No, like this is I didn't watch too much Super. I watched the 2 movies and I only watched a little bit of Super, like after the movie arcs. So I still need to get back into it. But yeah, I know. I hear it. Also, there's like 2 tournament arcs. Like there's the Goku Black and like 2 tournament arcs, and it's over. It just seems kind of weird. Like the only actual Dragon Ball villain, you know, like Boo, Cell, Frieza is Black or whatever his name is. Yeah, Black Goku.
Yeah, Goku Black.
Yeah, Goku Black. There you go. But yeah, the other 2 are just tournament arcs, and it just seems kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, Dragon Ball Super, so Dragon Ball Super. So
I mean, still hype. It's still Dragon Ball. So.
Yeah, like if you like Dragon Ball, you'll like this, but you know, compared to like other anime like My Hero, it's definitely not as high tier. But anyways, the last thing I've been watching, Jessica Jones season 2, because Daredevil season 3 is coming out October 19th, so I need to catch up. But Jessica Jones season 2, it's good. It's not as good as the first season, obviously, because it's so hard to like, you know, stay at that bar, I guess. But season 2 is still good. I'm not done with it just yet. But it definitely takes a lot of like interesting turns and like weird things it does, which I guess is why I like it kind of. It's definitely like in a weird spot for me, in my opinion, but you know.
I mean, would you say it's one of the better recent ones to come out, or? 'Cause I know most of the recent ones weren't that great.
It's definitely better than Iron Fist season 1, if that's what you're asking. But Punisher was good.
Punisher was good.
Yeah, Punisher was good.
It just seems so inconsistent now. Like I remember when each one was coming out, everyone loved each one. Like Daredevil and Jessica Jones season 1 and stuff like that. But then just started to go downhill a bit. So I wasn't too sure.
Yeah, it started to be a little bit rocky because I know Defenders was definitely very disappointing because that was only 8 episodes and I'm like, huh? Like. Did you guys like run out of the budget? Could you guys like not pay these people? You know, so it did feel a little bit rushed with that, like, you know, Defenders season. So, but yeah, Jessica Jones was definitely, you know, it's not as good as the first season. That's all I'll say, but it's still okay, I guess. All right, so Marvel's Spider-Man on the PS4. So it's going to be a full spoiler discussion. So if you have yet to play the game and you don't want to be spoiled by the story or anything like that, don't listen to this part of the podcast. But yeah, so you said you platinumed it.
Yes.
So you 100%ed the game.
Yep.
That's very good because I also did that very recently. But yeah, I guess we'll start with the story. So like, how did you think the story was?
I actually liked it a lot. I think it was one of the better Spider-Man stories. I feel like usually with Spider-Man plot, they usually try to do too much, and I felt like this story did do a lot, but I feel like it kind of ended things really well. Like like Spider-Man 3 when there was just like way too much things going on, but it just couldn't do anything right. It kind of felt like that where you have Mr. Negative, you have like the Sinister Six, you have Harry, you have all Doc Ock. There's a lot of things going on.
Miles.
But I feel Miles as well. There's a lot of things going on, but I think they set things up really well for a future game, and it wrapped up all the other stuff. So it wrapped up the Mr. Negative stuff. It sort of set up the future plot lines where you can see like the symbiote and stuff like that, where Harry and then like what's his face, Norman Osborn, and Doc Ock is still like he's alive, he's in jail, and Miles getting bitten by the spider. Like I think it does a lot of good things. Oh, and of course the ending where he like. They both know, he climbs in the wall.
Oh
and stuff
no,
like that.
bro! Aunt May, no.
Oh, and Aunt May's dead. I we're getting ahead of myself. I mostly just want to say I think it did a good job with a lot of different plot points, which I think a lot of Spider-Man things don't do too well when there's too many plot points. I think it does set up a lot of things well. Like it knows when to save it for a next time, and I think it just wrapped things up nicely. What did you think about the overall like plot structure? I guess.
Yeah. So. Overall, the story was okay. Like, when it comes to other Spider-Man games, like, obviously, this is the best Spider-Man story in a video game. Yeah. Just because of how well they did, Peter Parker and Spider-Man, like, those two halves, colliding with each other so much. And, despite him being a veteran, I believe he's, like, 23, and, like, he got bit by the spider at 15. So he's been doing this for 8 years, obviously.
Yeah.
So he's definitely... been doing this for a while, and it shows. And even then, Spider-Man and Peter Parker still conflict with one another, which I really liked. And the ending for this game, I think, really saved the story for me, because like if the ending sucked, I would have 100% said in my video like this game story is not all that great, but still when it comes to Spider-Man game stories, it's still good. But the ending like 100% saved the game story for me, just because the whole Doc Ock fight was really cool. And then, Peter Parker and him viewing Doc Ock as like his mentor and everything like that, and him just watching his downfall was really, really sad. And then the ending with Aunt May, like I know in other comics of Spider-Man, they used Aunt May's death as like a plot device or whatever. But like I personally haven't read those, and watching her die was like really, really sad.
Yeah, I didn't expect. There was some moments I'm like, Jesus Christ, game. The whole Miles thing with his dad. Like, I obviously knew his dad was gonna die, but the way they made it like an actual terrorist attack, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Look, man, they got to keep it relevant.
Yeah, I guess they do. And with the whole Aunt May thing dying too, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, what the hell? So yeah, I mean, I think. Obviously, I think Peter might die in the next game. I think they really want to just set up Miles.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, you want to, like, do, like, I guess, sort of, like, predictions as to what the ending means for the sequel?
Yeah. So I think the next game is going to be Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's still going to be a big part of it, Peter. And Miles is going to be sort of like a sidekick. Because I don't know much about his powers too much. I know like he has like some poison thing and he's not as strong as Peter. So if they could just remove the stealth sections with Mary Jane and put Miles as the stealth sections, I could be okay with that. But and maybe make Peter like still the main focus. But I think at the end of the next game, Peter's gonna die and then Miles is gonna be the next Spider-Man. I mean, that's how I just see it going.
Yeah, personally, I also see it like that.
Yeah.
But like with the whole like Harry and the symbiote thing, like that really like blew my mind. I was like, wow, Insomniac Games is really like taking a really different approach with this game, because like I don't think there's ever been a Harry Osborn that's had the symbiote or like started with the symbiote or whatever. So like that's gonna be a very interesting thing, because this game there was nothing to do with the symbiote, even with like the different suits. Like there was no black suit or anything like that.
I was like, where's the black suit? There's always the black suit for like unlockables. But yeah, I guess they really are saving it for like the next game probably.
Yeah, and, so that's gonna be really cool to go and see in the next game, and 100% Miles is going to be a big part of that game as well. And then on top of that, I'm interested to go and see in how like this newfound relationship with Peter and MJ is gonna be. you know.
Yeah,
And
I did kind of like their relationship in this one. I thought it was better than all the other ones I've seen. So
yeah. I really liked on how like MJ was like, do you know why we broke up? And he was like, ah, shit. He was like,
yeah,
I don't know. And then it was like, cause you treat me like a, you know, like he's always like watching out for her, which obviously he has good intents, but you know, I guess after a while, MJ was kind of just like, I want to do shit on my own. So.
hmm yeah. I mean, overall, I kind of did like the Mr. Negative stuff. When people saying like most of the game was Mr. Negative, I was kind of bummed out. But I think they did an okay job. Like it was pretty obvious. I mean, we all knew that Mr. Negative was what's his face from the stupid Feast Center.
Oh yeah, bro, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, because it's one. Okay, even without him showing up in E3 when that E3 demo, he was just there. You could have just picked it up because it's like, okay, the dude's sketchy as hell. It's all Japanese stuff, and now to be racist is the only Asian guy there.
He's the only Asian character in this game. I wonder if that's Mr. Negative, huh?
Yeah, so it's like that was like a big thinking emoji right there. But I think they did his stuff okay. Like I think I was interested in him.
Yeah.
I think the Sinister Six was kind of like thrown in there though. Like that was the only like random.
Oh yeah, like it was like, oh look, the prison breakout. All right, now they're all out, and it's like, oh okay.
Yeah, like I felt like that was a very like just to like, hey guys, we got the original villains, don't worry. So yeah, I mean, I thought the bosses were fun, but like that's about it.
The boss fights were definitely fun, but I 100% like saw, because we both know on how Doc Ock goes. So
Yeah.
when I was at the prison, I was like, oh no, the sixth member that they were like alluding to during one of the E3 videos, I was like, it's 100% Doc Ock. And then it was Doc Ock. I was like, god damn it. Which is like another thing as to why I found the story to be like okay, because it was very predictable for me.
It was. And I feel like, I don't know if that's just because it was predictable or just because we already know, like, Spider-Man can only have so many twists, right? Like, we already know everything that's going to happen. And that's what I was saying before. I think the story is good, but it's very, very predictable. Like, there's a lot of things you know that are just going to happen. Like, I knew the officer was Miles' dad. I knew that he was going to die. I knew, like, Doc Ock was just going to turn into Doc Ock. Like, there's a lot of things that was very predictable. Oh, that what's-his-face was Mr. Negative,
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of predictable things, but I think the way they did it was pretty good. Like, the execution was good, and I think that's what mattered for me. But yeah, I get you. It was a very predictable story.
Yeah, but other than that, I think the story was still solid, I guess.
Yeah, I still had a good time with it. And again, the ending bits really made me really excited for the next game. So.
The ending, oof, that was so good. And I honestly cannot wait for that, DLC with Placat, so.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm actually really excited for the season pass as well, which, that doesn't happen too often. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah. Gameplay. So, obviously, this is the best Spider-Man game when it comes to web swinging, combat, and all that stuff. So I'll let you gush about it for a bit.
Okay, so I think this is the best Spider-Man game in terms of gameplay ever. Like, I think Insomniac did such a good job with the momentum. Just the web slinging, the web zips, the point launches, or whatever they call those things.
Yep.
They made it so you never lose momentum, which is really nice. Because I feel like with Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, there was times where you just run out of momentum because you just like either run out of a building or just like, for whatever dumb reason. With this game, they just make it so even when you're in the rooftops, you do that point launch, which just means if you press L2 and R2, you could go into like any like corner of a building or something you could like perch on. And if you press X again, you just do a giant leap. And that gives you a bunch of speed and momentum. And then you could go back down and start swinging again or web zipping. So I feel like they did a good job of just making you never stop. And I think that's what makes Spider-Man feel like Spider-Man to me. Like you just have to just keep going, have that nice fluid movement and just not stop. And I think they did a really good job of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And in terms of combat, even though, it was Arkham combat, I think they did a good job making Spider-Man feel like Spider-Man. Being that
makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah, it makes you. Yeah, I know I'm a meme, but like it does make you feel like Spider-Man. Like just how you can use your different web gadgets to just web people up into walls. I love that, by the way. Like,
yes,
you just
same.
If someone's next to a wall and you like web them with like an impact web, it just instantly KOs them and like just puts them on the wall. I love that. Just the combat just felt so good.
Yeah,
and I didn't expect that because I feel like things that Spider-Man games don't really get right a lot of the time is the combat. It just sort of feels like, all right, I'm just punching a dude. This one really makes you feel. Okay, I'm not gonna say. But this one makes you really use your webs in like creative ways. Like I just love it. All the different gadgets you get, just I don't know. It just feels. It's just hard to explain. Like I feel like the air combat is really good. You could just do a bunch of different things. You could do an air combo and then like hold square in air to do like a web kick, and then you just hit them with a web and just like spray them on the ground. Like, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of combos you can do with the amount of tools that this game gives you. And then on top of that, one thing that I found really interesting was that there's like a learning curve to the combat in a way. So like when you were first playing the game, you were 100% getting your ass kicked, right? Like you were trying to play it like an Arkham game probably, and then it was like, oh wait, this is probably not working as well.
Yeah, I felt like you mostly have to stay in the air a lot, because if you're in the ground, you're probably gonna get your ass kicked. So I towards the middle, not the middle of the game, but towards like the first bit of the game, like okay, I'm probably gonna stay in the air a lot. So I just started just uppercutting everyone and just like doing air combos and stuff, and try to spend as little time on the ground as I can, because once you're on the ground, Spider-Man is very vulnerable to like a lot of things. So, and staying in the air is pretty essential to his survivability, and it makes sense because that's what he's known for. He's more of an aerial dude anyway. So, I think they did a good job making him really like fight like Spider-Man. Same thing with all the gadgets you could get, like I was saying before, and that's like a Sonic thing there with all the different weapons you could equip to Spider-Man, and none of them feel out of place either. That all of them feels like things he would have. So that's also nice. Like I think some of the creative ones was like the web trip mine. Like that was a weird one where it was just a mine you could place down, and then there's just like anyone that walks through that laser would just get hit by a web and get KO'd. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't use it too much, but it was a very interesting idea for a weapon.
I loved using that in the stealth sections because it was pretty much like essential to use it during those parts.
In terms of content, I think the game did pretty well. I had a lot of things to do. Towards the end, it got a little samey though. Like, just do like the crimes and like the different hideouts and stuff like that. But I thought like the science stuff and the the challenges were pretty fun. There was a nice variety of things to do.
Did you hate the drone missions?
The drone ones, yeah. I did not like those.
Yeah, I hated those too.
I mean, I don't think the game was that difficult. The Sable people were really annoying, but
they were like really tanky for like no reason.
They were very tanky. I found the best way to like deal with them is to use the electric webs and just abuse it, because those enemies don't get webbed up very easily. So I just ended up using more electricity, and that helped it out a lot. But yeah, Sable people suck. I hated them. But besides that, I think the game had a nice difficulty curve. I never had too much trouble with the game. I only died a lot towards the end. So I think it did a good job really settling you in with harder enemy types. So that was nice.
What'd you think about the stealth sections with like Miles and MJ?
So the Miles parts didn't really bother me too much because I felt like they had a little more action in them. But the first few Mary Jane ones, I was kind of just like, all right, I'm kind of over it. Like the first Mary Jane part, I'm like, I see what they were going for, but it's a little too slow, and you just moving cover to cover. But I feel like as soon as they gave her more gadgets, it became a little more fun. Like with, I forgot what the second one was. Was that the one where you have like that noisemaker thingy that Peter gave you? Yeah. That was pretty cool. And then when you go into Harry's or Norman Osborn's office and you have the stun gun, that was also fun. And probably the one that I liked the most was when you were in the Grand Central and you were like, tell Spider-Man to kill this dude for me. That one was fun. But yeah, I felt like the game probably would have been better off without that. Like, it just seems it breaks the pace. Like, as soon as Mary Jane's like, oh, let me tell you about this thing, I'm like, no, you don't have to. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. I know that feel, because I was like, these parts aren't terrible, but like, when she's like talking, she's like, all right, so this is where I was. I was like, God damn it, we're doing this.
Yeah, it just seems kind of annoying, and like, I don't know, it just seems like it didn't need to be there. And I don't know. I just didn't like them that much.
I get why people don't like them, but I found them to be all right at best.
Yeah, it was fine. Like, it didn't. I thought the way people were talking about it, I thought it was gonna be way worse, but it wasn't too bad. It was just kind of annoying. So.
But the puzzles in this game definitely reminded me of like Ratchet and Clank.
That was Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I'm like, this is like super Ratchet and Clank. So yeah, when I was doing the puzzles, I'm like, yeah, this is just Ratchet and Clank. And I actually thought the puzzles were kind of fun.
To be honest.
I didn't like the line matching one because it would get annoying sometimes, but I did like the circuit one.
Yeah. The line matching. The only reason I really didn't like the line matching one was because you had to like drag like the like freaking cursor with the analog stick, and that just feels weird. I'm like, oh my god, this feels so bad.
Yeah, it didn't feel that good to do that.
Yeah, the other one where you have to like guide the electricity or whatever was really fun.
Yeah, I like the second one a lot. That was a fun one. But besides that, I'm trying to think what. I like the different suits too. I like that you could you don't have to stay with the suit with that suit power. You could basically once you buy the suit, you get the suit power, and then you can just equip it to anything else. So I thought that was really nice of them, because I thought you had to wear the suit to use it, and you don't. That's not the case. So that's really cool.
I did the Iron Spider like power with like a different suit to go and see what would happen. It just looks funny.
Yeah, it looks stupid if you're not wearing the Iron Spider suit. And I mean, it's cool to let you do it, but yeah, it does look stupid while wearing it. I felt like Web Blossom was just OP, and I just used that the whole game.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I use the Iron Spider arms for Sable people because they don't really get webbed up that easily. But I just I mostly just stick to Web Blossom like more than half the games. So it was just that overpowered. I don't know why it's so overpowered.
I did the electric punch sometimes. Because, like, you kind of just punch one dude, and then, like, everyone else just gets shocked. And I'm like, well, this is easy.
Yeah, there was a suit mod that made it so if you're doing a combo in the air, you get, like, charged up. And when you hit the ground again, everyone gets electrocuted. And you don't have to waste any suit power for that. So I ended up using that a lot, too. But I also did, I think they did a good job with progression, too. It felt pretty nice. I wish they started you with more mobility options, because I kind of just spent all my skill points early in the game on the web slinging thing, just so I could feel good. Because, the game doesn't give you a charge shot. It doesn't give you, like, the extended, like, point launch. So it feels really good to do it. What else it didn't give you? It didn't give you 2 web zips. You can only do 1 until you start falling. Yeah. So, I felt like you really have to invest in that line to make the web slinging, like, really, really fun. But overall, I think Insomniac did really good by this game. Like I'm very excited to see the next Spider-Man game that they do.
Yeah, 100%. They had a lot of love and passion for Spider-Man, and they did a lot of research into the character when it comes to the other past games. And then they were like, all right, so how do we make ours the best? And they definitely made the best Spider-Man game to date. Mm-hmm. So very, very excited to go and see what they do next. But yeah, I mean, the game also just like looks beautiful.
Oh my god, yeah, the game is very, very pretty. I think they did a really good job recreating New York. It was very nice. I loved everything about the graphics. They did I love all the new designs for all the villains as well. Like I love Rhino's design. I love Scorpion's design. I thought they all looked really cool. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think they did a great job. It was great.
Yeah, it really grew on me that Yuri, the actor that did Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, same character, he really grew on me, to be honest. I was like, man, I wish freaking what's his name was doing Spider-Man, but he actually played Shocker, Josh Keaton.
Yeah. He did do Shocker, yeah.
So, but he still did a pretty good job as Spider-Man. So,
yeah, he was. The dude who voices Spider-Man voices a character in Persona. So when he started yelling, I'm like, that's just that dude from Persona. And it was weird. So yeah. Same thing with Yuri. She was also a voice actress in Persona. So I'm like, this is a reunion. Look at that. Yeah, that was fun.
But overall, game's great.
Yeah, overall, if you haven't played it yet, play it. Like, you're doing yourself a disjustice if you haven't played it yet. And I don't know if it's my game of the year. It might be up there. It's either this or God of War right now, because those 2 games are like extremely good. And they're both Sony exclusive, so if you haven't played any of those, you really should, because they're both really good.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure it's my game of the year right now. And I'm not sure if there's any other game that'll beat it, because maybe right now... Red Dead?
I mean,
maybe Red Dead if I put enough time into it, but I don't think I will. As much as Spider-Man,
Spider-Man might be my game of the year as well. I'm not too sure yet.
But we'll just have to wait and see. Year's not over yet. But is there anything else you would like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, so that is it for the Two Players Podcast, episode 68. We'll see you guys 2 weeks from now with the next episode.
See ya.